Okay, so we're doing Greco-Pithecus freybergi. I'm Carlos.
I'm Tanner.
I'm Darren.
Okay, so first we're gonna start off with a quick video.
This video gives some background information on the whole subject.
You are going to be a big surprise.
The history of human evolution has been rewritten after scientists discovered that Europe was the birthplace of mankind, not Africa. Currently, most experts believe that our human lineage split from apes around 7 million years ago in Central Africa, where hominids remained for the next 5 million years before venturing further afield. But two fossils of an ape-like creature, which had human-like teeth, have been found in Bulgaria and Greece, dating to 7.2 million years ago. The discovery of the creature, named Greco-Pithecus freybergi, and nicknamed it El Greco by scientists, proves our ancestors were already starting to evolve in Europe 200,000 years before the earliest African hominid. An international team of researchers say the findings entirely change the beginning of human history, and place the last common ancestor of both chimpanzees and humans, the so-called missing link, in the Mediterranean region. At that time, climate change had turned Eastern Europe into an open savanna, which forced apes to find new food sources, sparking a shift towards bipedalism, the researchers believe. This study changes the ideas related to the knowledge about the time and the place of the first steps of the humankind, said Professor Nicolae Spasov from the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. Greco-Pithecus is not an ape. He is a member of the tribe of hominins and the direct ancestor of Homo. The food of the Greco-Pithecus was related to the rather dry and hard savanna vegetation, unlike that of the recent great apes, which are living in forests. Therefore, like humans, he has wide molars and thick enamel. To some extent, this is a newly discovered missing link. But missing links will always exist, because evolution is infinite chain of subsequent forms. Probably El Greco's face will resemble a great ape, with shorter canines. The team analyzed the two known specimens of Greco-Pithecus freybergi, a lower jaw from Greece and an upper premolar tooth from Bulgaria. Using computer tomography, they were able to visualize the internal structures of the fossils, and show that the roots of premolars are widely fused. While great apes typically have 2 or 3 separate and diverging roots, the roots of Greco-Pithecus converge and are partially fused, a feature that is characteristic of modern humans, early humans and several pre-humans, said lead researcher Professor Madeleine Bohm of the University of Tübingen. The lower jaw has additional dental root features, suggesting that the species was a hominid. The species was also found to be several 100,000 years older than the oldest African hominid, Sahelanthropus tradensis, which was found in Chad. We were surprised by our results, as pre-humans were previously known only from sub-Saharan Africa, said doctoral student Jochen Fuss, a Tübingen PhD student who conducted this part of the study. Professor David Begun, a University of Toronto paleoanthropologist and co-author of this study, added, "This dating allows us to move the human-chimpanzee split into the Mediterranean area. During the period the Mediterranean Sea went through frequent periods of drying up completely, forming a land bridge between Europe and Africa, and allowing apes and early hominids to pass between the continents." The team believed that evolution of hominids may have been driven by dramatic environmental changes, which sparked the formation of the North African Sahara more than 7 million years ago, and pushed species further north. They found large amounts of Saharan sand in layers dating from the period, suggesting that it lay much further north than today. Professor Bohm added, "Our findings may eventually change our ideas about the origin of humanity. I personally don't think that the descendants of Greco-Pithecus die out. They may have spread to Africa later. The split of chimps and humans was a single event. Our data support the view that this split was happening in the Eastern Mediterranean, not in Africa. If accepted, this theory will indeed alter the very beginning of human history." However, some experts were more skeptical about the findings. Retired anthropologist and author Dr. Peter Andrews, formerly at the Natural History Museum in London, said, "It is possible that the human lineage originated in Europe, but very substantial fossil evidence places the origin in Africa, including several partial skeletons and skulls. I would be hesitant about using a single character from an isolated fossil to set against the evidence from Africa. The new research was published in the journal PLOS One.
Now that the video is finished for the background information, we're moving into who discovered
DNA testing can determine where in Africa our forebears were from. Among those using the tested.
Alrighty, who studied Grecopithecus freibergii? And the study came from a team of paleoanthropologists led by Professor Madeleine Baume of the University of Tübingen, and they've studied the remains. And then also paleobiologist David R. Begun, a professor at the University of Toronto, has analyzed the broken jawbone as well. And then Baume and Begun published their findings in a journal that they co-wrote. Begun says that the discovery outlines a new scenario for the beginning of human history. According to Professor Baume, humans and chimpanzees split from their last common ancestor several 100,000 years earlier than believed. The researchers analyzed the lower jaw from Greece and the upper premolar from Bulgaria. The finds surprised them, given the fact that pre-humans were previously known only from Africa. And Grecopithecus freibergii is several 100,000 years older than the oldest pre-human found in Africa. And the fossils were dated with physical methods, and their age is nearly the same, with 7.24 and 7.175 million years ago.
Okay, so now some of the quick facts about the Grecopithecus freibergii. They lived 7.2 million years ago in the dust-laden savanna of the Athens Basin. In the past, scientists had assumed that the first pre-human developed in East Africa 5 to 7 million years ago. Grecopithecus freibergii they led scientists to believe that the pre-humans diverged in Europe and not Africa. The history of human evolution has been rewritten when scientists discovered that Europe was the birthplace of mankind and not Africa. This species was nicknamed El Greco. So at first, the El Greco was misidentified as a monkey, and they later then said that the Grecopithecus is not an ape. He is a member of the tribe of hominins and the direct ancestor of Homo, which was said by Professor Nikolai Spasov. The food they ate was rather hard and dry, like in the savanna vegetation, unlike apes, where they lived in forests. Therefore, like humans, they had wide molars and a thick enamel. This here is a map of where they originated, or where they found remains in Bulgaria and in Greece, and then a timeline showing the other species and how their age relates to them. Scientists studied 2 known specimens found, and they were the lower jaw and the upper premolar. Pyrgos Vasilissus, which is in Greece, is the place of discovery, and then there's a picture of the lower jaw that they found. And then here is one of the tooth that they found of the molar. Okay, so the big question by scientists now is if humans evolved in Europe since finding these remains in Greece and Bulgaria. When they found the remains, later there was a lot of controversy. People have claimed that the fossils not belong to the Grecopithecus freibergii, saying the tooth found is too small to fit and it belongs to a different species, but is almost 2 million years apart. But they then did research and tests, found out that the tooth was a match, and the tooth was also close to a human tooth. To find out where humans really evolved, though, is going to need more research. Only one fossil and only one tooth has been found of this species in the past 70 years, so it's not very likely that we will find another one anytime soon. The origins of human evolution is going to be a mystery for quite some time until we find more evidence showing that it originated in Europe or Africa.
So the significance, scientists use computer tomography to determine that Greco-Pithecus freibergi had partially fused roots, which is a characteristic of modern humans, early humans and pre-humans commonly found. The lower jaw had additional dental root features, which suggested that the species may be a part of the pre-human lineage, the hominin family. And the discovery dates our ancestors back 7.2 million years, which is in Europe, when Africa is the most widely accepted birthplace of hominins and human evolution. These discoveries pose threats to current standing theories and also sparks many new ones. So debates going on in the scientific community. The discovery may place a diverging place of chimpanzees and humans in Europe. This area in Europe 7.2 million years ago would have resembled environments much like the Sahel of Africa, where we know hominins thrived in. And some scientists also believe that this environment is what led to the lineage's splitting, because one became more adapt to the Sahel while the other one was more adapted to forests and such. And this is an artist's interpretation of how Greece and the Mediterranean area in Europe would have looked 7.2 million years ago when El Greco was walking around. Although this find is significance, evidence in comparison to all of our evidence in Africa is rather minor. The only remains found of this new species is a jawbone and a lone tooth, also found in different sites relatively far away, which makes it two just single finds, and it is matched up against almost complete skeletons and skulls found in Africa, supporting the idea that Africa was the birthplace of mankind and where mankind evolved and diverged from chimpanzees. And the fossils found, we can only figure out very little facts about the birthplace of humans being in Europe. The key features about GF is unknown due to the lack of fossil evidence, and we cannot determine if the creature was adapting toward bipedalism, which is a very large deal when you're talking about the divergence of chimpanzees and humans. And it makes many scientists veer away from stating that the divergence actually occurred in Europe, when the majority of our evidence point that the divergence would have occurred in Africa, where most of the other hominin and species and primates were found.
Actually be the oldest member of the human branch found so far. But here's the catch. It's from Europe, not Africa. Well, Greece to be precise. Some anthropologists will be throwing their hands in the air proclaiming not again. And their minds will be turning to the ferocious debates we once had over similar claims made about two other fossil apes, Promapithecus and Oreopithecus. Promapithecus from northern India has become rather infamous in the annals of paleoanthropology as the ape once thought to be human, and that pushed our origins back to 14 million years ago. I won't go into too many details here, you can read about it for yourself, but it was through a combination of the genetic clock, ironically, and new fossil discoveries that its claimed human status was blown out of the water after 2 decades of vociferous debate. It turns out to have been a kind of orangutan. Then there's Oreopithecus from Italy, also dated around 7 million years old, which is oddly human-like. In common with early African fossils and living humans, it shares features we would normally associate with bipedalism. Yet the remainder of its skeleton shows clearly that Oreopithecus is not very human-like, and is unlikely to be related to us at all. The similarity of Oreopithecus to humans is a great example of parallel evolution, a common enough phenomenon that distorts the true evolutionary signal. All of this points to why the new claims about Brachopithecus need to be treated with a good deal of caution. First, there is only a single jaw and one isolated tooth to go on. Second, its human status is being judged from only a single feature, the configuration of the premolar tooth roots. I'm open to the idea that early humans lived beyond Africa, but Brachopithecus falls well short of proving it. Brahmapithecus and Oreopithecus should surely have taught us a thing or two about the dangers of exuberant enthusiasm. Read more at https://phys.org/news/